Joe Budden drops yet another diss track against Drake, this time it's Wake, which in my opinion is a far better diss record than Making a Murderer. Making a Murderer was more about context. It was more talk, let's talk about Tahiri. All this because I didn't I didn't agree with your views on views, and basically just emotionally disconnecting himself to the whole situation and saying, you motherfuckers, this is how your generation is and I don't get it. So Wake was basically about poking the giant on his chest and seeing if this was going to provoke him enough, which I think was very intelligent. Because if you take a look at this whole beef and you just preside over the whole thing, you obviously see a large artist and you see a small artist. That's fine. Joe's accepting the fact that he is the smaller artist. So what does he do? He speaks for all the other smaller artists that people have said, Earl Sweatshirt being one of them, funny enough, that people have said that Drake takes advantage of. He mentioned Migos. He mentioned Fetty Wap. He mentioned I Love McConan. And, obviously mentioning other artists who have larger relationships with Drake, like The Weeknd, Party Next Door, Mike Zombie. So he's speaking for the little guy. And what I think is really intelligent about that is he's making Drake feel like he's Goliath, right? Oh my God, you fucking big bad bully. How could you just... Territorial takeover is what Joe calls it on the song. He says, these territorial takeovers where, you jump on people's songs, but you don't do their videos. You don't give them the credit that they're due. How could you do these territorial takeovers and still respect yourself in the morning? You're a movie star and all this nonsense. I think that was very intelligent because within this rap arena, within this, Joe is the Goliath and Drake is the David. So if he baits him into dissing Joe, this is beautiful. This makes me think that this is sort of just like a head fake, and seeing if he goes for the bait and then here comes the real knockout. The question is, do we think Drake is going to respond? At this point, I don't believe he will because there's nothing to gain out of this. It's a suicide mission. There are two big differences between this beef and between the beef with Meek. The first and most obvious difference is the fact that Joe is one of the best lyrically, especially when it comes to battling. Meek used to be a battler, but he was never really there. It's more of an energetic thing with Meek than a punchline lyrical thing. You know what I'm saying? The other difference is Drake had to sort of protect his brand with Meek. If you think about the time when all the Quentin Miller stuff started to happen, this was around the time when Drake had those Sprite ads where he was being advertised with the likes of with fucking Nas and Rakim. And for whatever reason, Drake was trying to come across as a lyricist. Know yourself, know your worth, and all that jazz. Only then to find out that he had reference tracks from Quentin Miller because Meek put all that stuff out. So there was a reason to protect his brand. There was a reason to say, nah, you're not going to fucking play me like this. I'm going to destroy you on these two records. Now there's no reason. Now there is Drake taking shots at Joe, whether you want to admit it or not. There is Drake taking shots at Joe, but there's nothing to gain. It's more like he just likes playing with Joe because he knows the response that he's going to get out of him. As I said in the video before, it's almost as if Drake has responded already because he is there is so much of a distance between them as far as everything. As far as what's in Joe's corner, which is lyricism, which is experience in the battling arena, and what's on Drake's side, which is popularity, commercial success, there is a ocean of difference between them. So, even if Drake had made these records and Joe wouldn't have said shit, there would have still been that sense and that feel that Budden already had something to say, because some of the points that you could throw out are just so obvious because of their differences. Now, I feel that if Drake ever responds to him, an intelligent way to sort of go at this, because of the fact that Joe had mentioned you're a movie star, is if Drake just swings that judgmental pendulum right back at him and says, well, you're a reality star. You piece of shit. You were on fucking on Loving Hip Hop New York, and you were on reunions and crying with fucking Mendici and Rich Dollar. Like you had a beef with Consequence on camera. Like, you're a hoe. I think that would be genius if he approached it like that. But that's of course if he decides to respond. This reminds me of a tactic that was employed by Nas when Nas was dissing Jay-Z and he tried to pin Beanie Siegel up against Jay-Z. And Beanie had that amazing line in the special delivery freestyle where he said, trying to kill 4 birds, and he said 4 birds, he didn't say 2 birds. He said, trying to kill 4 birds with 1 stone by breaking the rock in half. That was just, it was amazing. And it's something that you could probably expect from some of these people that were mentioned by Joe. Maybe one of these guys will put out statements or tweets or something and say, don't fucking speak for us, because their relationships with Drake are much more valuable than the truth being out there. You understand what I'm saying? So I really feel like this was a better diss record. Is it going to be enough for Drake to respond? I don't think so. Though if he already dropped this one, I gotta feel that there's another one coming. Joe also has a line on the record, which, this stuff isn't on Rap Genius, so it's just, I'm just speculating. He also has a line where he says something to the effect of, half a clip and you ran. Notice how I said half the clips and you ran. I'll save that for another one. Now, I have to figure that this is some sort of a mention of Pusha T. Like, it has to be. Obviously, Pusha T and his brother used to be, they used to form the Clips, Malice and Pusha T. Is it a reference to Pusha T? I have no clue, but Joe will let us know on the next record. What do you guys feel about this? Do you think it's time for Drake to respond? This isn't back-to-back. This isn't the internet phenomenon that back-to-back was. So it's obviously not as much of a big deal. Lyrically, it's far better than that record, but he's poking away at the giant, He's poking away at the giant by making the giant believe that he's a giant by Joe all the while being the giant. I know what you're doing, Joe. I know what you're doing over there. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you feel in the comments section. Follow me on Snapchat. It's my YouTube 2.0, and I will see you guys next time.